Hello, my name is James Montgomery. I can't really get you a picture. I got a glove on the one hand to manipulate the heart, but this is me with the thing. Okay, so then that's all I got up there, so I can go through what the structures are. So to start off, we'll go with the right atrium, which is in here. It's the top half. It's really hard to do this with one hand, but it's up here below where this the mitral valve normally is. So it's up in the top portion. You flip over to the left side, you got the left atrium up at the top there. Also on the outside of the heart, it's easier to left and right atria. Then we'll stay here for the left ventricle, which is the larger portion down there in the bottom that my finger's in right now. And then we'll go over to the right ventricle, which is the larger space down here in the bottom areas. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the mitral valve, which I mentioned earlier, is this valve that's been pretty well destroyed. It's that one right there. It normally separates this white part right there, normally separates the right atrium and the right ventricle. And then going over to the tricuspid valve, we have that same thing, white right there, and that normally separates the left ventricle and left atrium to prevent backflow. So now we'll go to the aortic valve, which is still here. It's gonna be rough for me to do this, but down there you can, let me see if I can zoom in. I don't think I can zoom in, but that little hole right in there is where the aortic valve would normally be. And then once you flip over to the right side, you got the pulmonary valve, which is going to be back in there. Once again, hard to see as usual. And that normally flows into the lungs where the blood then gets oxygenated. It's one of like two arteries that carry deoxygenated blood instead of oxygenated blood. Fun fact. Okay, interventricular septum. It's easier to see on the right side. It's this just muscular wall in between the two ventricles, which is right there. I kind of cut it a little bit when I was cutting into the ventricle, so you can see it. Endocardium lines the inside of the ventricles. I don't know if it'll be easier to see on the left or probably the right side. So it's going to be like that inner lining right there. That's the endocardium. You got the myocardium, which is the muscle part. And then you have the epicardium, which is the outside. It's the inner lining of the pericardium, which I don't think this heart came with because I shaved a lot of it off. Then you got chordae tendineae, definitely easiest to see on the left side, which are these little tentacle-looking things that anchor the tricuspid valve. And then the last part, the coronary arteries. So the dissection didn't really go through where to find these. The arteries that nourish the heart. I was cutting through a lot of the fat and trying to find some of them, and I think that some of these darker, if I focus on some of these darker portions, I believe those are coronary arteries, and those are just the arteries that provide the heart with its oxygen in order to keep it beating. All right, that is it.